This
in
conference will now be
supply chain
recorded.
management in operations. So I've started my career from Siemens Services and Technology, where I started my first career as a supply chain analyst. From there on, then I was associated with Siemens for around on 3 years, and from there on, I moved for with the Infosys. From Infosys, there also I worked for a couple of years as a senior role in supply chain. So from there on, then now I have been associated with Wipro. So in Wipro, I'm working as a subject matter expert. So I've been handling the team of nearly 6 members. So where we are doing the daily activity of supply chains of all the reports and the various teams and projects, everything. So I'm basically involved into the completely of training sessions or in team also. So this was all about me. This is so this is all about what I just wanted to share with you. So here my colleague Kiran is also there. So he'll be telling you, he'll also be sharing his part. Yeah, Kiran, you may introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Kiran. So, I'm working in Capgemini as a SAP consultant. So even before Abhishek, you can start.
Yeah, please. Okay. So
This conference will now be recorded.
so beginning with the supply chain management, as you can see, so supply chain management is nothing but, so you can see like it constitutes of logistics and planning, distribution, management, profit, and all the procurement activities. So the supply chain management really plays a very much important role in the daily basis in the activities in various organizations. So beginning with the supply chain, so supply chain is nothing but is the management of flow of goods and services, including of all like process that transform raw materials into final product, and from where, like for example, like a manufacturing companies, different manufacturing companies who convert the raw materials of finished product. For example, suppose a candle manufacturing company requires different kinds of raw materials of uh, candles or in order to process the end product. So that is what they make the processing of the production in the company. In so from there on, that it is being processed to the distributors, and from there so on retailers. So then from retailers it goes on to the end customer. Next, yeah. See, as you can see, right? So, as I told about, like, see, it begins from the raw material, supplier, manufacturing, distribution, and customer. So, all these activities are involved in complete supply chain activity. So, from where the supplier will procure the raw materials, from there, once the supplier procures the raw materials, then the manufacturer purchases from the supplier. Once the manufacturer purchases from the supplier, from there on the production starts for the manufacturing process in order to have the further movement of to the distribution, different distribution channel partners. So once it's been reached to the distribution channel, from there on it's moved to the another location of like retail locations, where different kinds of retails are being placed, or all the kinds of different kinds of goods are being varied over there. Then at final the customer has the uh, allocate accord of the products. So this is what the supply chain management of introduction is all about. So initially it begins from the raw materials procurement of raw materials to the end part of the customer activity. So coming to the next, yeah, objectives of supply chain management. See, The purpose of the supply chain is to make product available to meet customer demand, and that includes delivery to appropriate location, on time, insufficient quantity, and so on. So supply chain management, like it's the focused on doing that in most efficient and effective way. So everything else is secondary importance. So for example, let us assume one of our customer needs a finished product on these dates. For that, as a SCM buyer, we need to work with supplier and production team, get the material done in right time and right place to customer. So for that, we have different kinds of steps, like improving efficiency and improving the quality, reducing costs, maintaining better coordination, and so on. So this is what the main objectives of the supply chain is all about. Next. Yeah. Next, coming to the flows in SCM. See, in flows in SCM, in company, we can see, right, like different kinds of we have suppliers, companies, customers, etc. So we have different kinds of informational flow, material flow, where every communication is being done accordingly by with the chain, like suppliers, company, customers. So according to that only the needs are being transferred in order to get the end product delivered to the customer efficiently and effectively. So in a company, let us assume we need to manufacture 10 cars in our company. For that, we require 10 engines. But in our warehouse, we have only 9 engines. Still, we need one more engine. For that, we'll discuss with the supplier and we'll ask him to ship us one engine. Then we will manufacture and we will deliver to customer. So here the customer is going to pay to company and company will pay to supplier. So this overall process is called PR to PO. So I more further I'll explain you more in the more concepts about flows in supply chain in future classes. Next. Yeah. Next, coming to the organizational structure in SAP MM. See, in organizational structure in SAP MM, like every organization has some kind of framework or structure according to which the whole business runs. So an enterprise structure is the structure that represents an enterprise in the SAP ERP system. So ERP system is nothing but enterprise resource planning. So here an enterprise structure defines various levels in an organization. So these levels are placed according to some hierarchy. So you can see different organizational structure in MM consists of like client, company code, plant, storage location, purchase organization, and purchase group. So here the client is nothing but it's the commercial organization unit R by 3 system, which has the highest level in SAP system. So company code. A company code is the smallest organizational unit. Plant. Plant is an organization unit within a company where activities takes place. A plant will produce goods and make goods available for the company. Storage location. Storage location is an organizational unit which actually differentiates between different material stocks in a plant. Purchasing organization. Purchasing organization is nothing but where the organization unit under which the under company or plant which is responsible for procurement activities according to the different requirements. Purchase group. It is nothing but it is an organization unit which is responsible for everyday procurement activities within an organization. So this is what all about the organization structure in SAP MM. Next. Introduction to master data in SAP. See, data which is stored in R by 3 is categorized as master data and transactional data. So whatever the transaction you have been entering in the SAP, all the data has been stored, and we can view our data by using the T code. For example, PO, nothing but the purchase order, GRN, goods receipt note, RFQ, request for quotation, IR, invoice receipt. So these codes data we can see in SAP. Master data, which follows main again, which consists of two main steps. As you can see, different steps, that is the material master data and vendor master data. Next. Yeah. Next comes the, yeah, can you move to the next slide? Yeah. Okay. Kiran, you're able to move? Okay, fine. No problem. I'll continue my part. So next comes the sourcing. So sourcing is nothing but that takes care of everything from finding suppliers, vetting and contracting them, and maintaining a healthy chain of vendors to cater to the organizational needs. So this is what the sourcing is about. Purchasing. Purchasing involves procuring goods and services needed for the organization. We have different procurement, which comes under the sourcing and purchasing, as I said now. Yeah, next. I think it's working. Yeah. Next comes the procure to pay process flow. See, in procure to pay process flow is nothing but which we say in like organizational level as P2P cycle. So here from beginning with the identifying needs to get the requirement from the clients. So next comes the create requisitions. Based on the requirement, we are going to create RFQ and same will be sent to supplier. Requisitional approval. So once we get the quotation from supplier, we need to take the approval from the manager, create a PO. Then once the manager approves the code, we'll proceed with PO creation and PO copy is sent to the vendor for the further order acknowledgement. Goods receipt. Based on the invoice and PO copy, we are going to create the GR and IR. So this is what the P2P steps is all about. Next. Guidelines to select a vendor. So let us assume we have 3 suppliers. So we are going to send acknowledgement to those suppliers. So among those 3 suppliers, the best supplier will be chosen. For that, the below parameters are required. As you can see, like acknowledge the need for supplier sourcing and determine the criteria for supplier sourcing, identify the sources for potential suppliers, shortlist the suppliers from selection pool, determine the methodology, evaluate, and have a final contract with the supplier in order to get the materials and services in the organization. Next. Next is special procurement. Special procurement consists of like different kinds of procurement activities which also fall under the special procurement. That is nothing but consignment, subcontracting, stock transfer order, third party, and pipeline. So here the consignment is nothing but which involves the selling one's personal goods through a third party vendor such as consignment store or online thrift store. The owner of the goods pays the third party a portion of the sale for facilitating the sale. Next comes the subcontracting. It is one of the manufacturing strategy which is used by the company which decides to outsource some or all of the production operations to the vendor. So material A and B, which constitutes the bill of materials of material C, are then delivered to the contracting vendor. Next comes the stock transfer order, STO. Whenever the goods will be manufactured in the organization, they cannot go directly to issue the goods from the manufacturing plant to the customer. So it should go to the distribution center, trading division and showroom, etc. From there it will go to the end customer. Next comes the third party processing in third party role or in special procurement. So here the delivery of the goods required by the customer is not done by sales organization where the customer ordered. Instead, the request of the goods is forwarded to an external vendor who sends the material directly to the customer. Invoice to customer is created based on the order based invoice. Next comes the pipeline handling. A pipeline material is a material that enters the production process directly from pipeline. For example, like oil and water tube lines and electricity related pipes, cables, which have the pipelines. This is nothing but totally of which constitutes of the pipeline. So from a pipe, for example, like the mains water is also being there, like via cable, for example, electricity, and can be consumed. So pipeline materials are represented by the material type pipe. So it's nothing but totally related, which where the vendor supplies the pipeline related materials. So this is all about the special procurement. Next, yeah. Next comes the sourcing. See, sourcing is the process of products or services where the first step is involved in the supply chain. So sourcing means the finding out the right suppliers that provide the quality you need at a price point that gives you the margin you need. So that is what the sourcing is all about. Next, negotiation. Negotiation comes when we have the uh, communication between two or more parties with vendors with the desired outcome of reaching a mutually satisfactory agreement. So there are number of reasons for negotiations. As you can see, different kinds of example, like build your rapport, and in business, like you need to have a goodwill of the rapport in the customer's point of view, a vendor's point of view, and so on. So reach out to more. You had to reach out to more and more vendors in order to negotiate with the prices for the products which you need to be availed in for your customers as well as in the company. So know their customers. Obviously, we need to know their customers or like where the products are, to whom the products are being circulated in the market, and so on. Cost to supplier, different kinds of cost to supplier should be given accordingly in order to receive the quotations accordingly. So build on the offer price. So have the correct offer price whatever you are proceeding with. Flex your finance, like having the proper finances flexed accordingly to different kinds of vendor you're dealing with, and have a mental map, like so on the different kinds of products which can be available for the customers and the company, and for the production purpose which will be benefited in company's point of view, and have a speech so that at last you can have the good closure of the deal with the vendor. Next, next comes the vendor management. It is a term that describes the processes organizations use to manage their suppliers, who are also known as vendors. Vendor management includes activities such as selecting vendors, negotiating contracts, controlling costs, reducing vendor related risk, and ensuring service delivery. So, this is what the vendor management is all about. Next, Discussion on warehouse management. Warehouse management is nothing but which encompasses the different kinds of principles and processes and guidelines which involved in running of day-to-day operations of a warehouse. At a high level, this includes receiving and organizing warehouse space, scheduling labor, managing inventory, and fulfilling the orders. Yeah, next. Yeah. So next, the final stage comes the tool execution of SAP. Like how does the material code works, and how the code is created, company code is created, and what is the different ports to view the material, and what are the different amendments you can make in the material. Vendor code, even it implies to the same to the vendor. Like you how you create the vendor, change the vendor, and amend the vendor, or even cancel the vendor which you have created, code, also on, and info record. PR is nothing but purchase requisition, RFQ, PO general. All these are tool execution which which will be practically teach during the classes accordingly and simultaneously with the parts. So yeah, this was all about the demo session. So yeah, thank you.
So Nirmala, do you have any doubts or any clarifications? So we'll discuss now. Hello. Abhishek.
Hello, Nirmala.